everyone, this is Katie. I am gonna draw Kaeya today. Full sketch to render with some new markers I got. I'm gonna restart the channel, but revamp it some, where I do more drawing videos, either digitally or physically, with me either talking over it, or if you want, we could just do some music playing. Both work. I think I'm probably going to do more yappy, talky videos. I'm working on setting up a shop where I sell merch of my art, that being prints, or keychains, pins, buttons, so forth. So here I'm drawing Kaeya Albirch, as I said, from Genshin Impact on a horse, because he's the Calvary captain and he deserves horses in the game. I'm gonna collect all the monster characters. I don't care if they're not meta. I like Mondstadt the most. So I'm gonna be getting them and building them all, as well as building my firm anymore. Since he's my favorite and my first main, and I love him. And he already does great damage, but yeah, he could do better too. Really have just been drawing Kaeya a whole bunch, whilst I'm also figuring out this animal AU I want to do a comic of, or maybe write about and then do a comic of. I don't know. I do imagine Kaeya's had a horse since he was a child named Midnight or something, and he has a horse that goes along with it called Daybreak or something. And the horses are sisters or something maybe, but maybe not biological sisters, just kind of they grew up together with the Ragdivers raising them when they were, I want to say 10-ish, 9-ish. Yeah, Crepus would give them horses at that age. I really like Crepus. I like getting lore on Crepus, with Varka giving us more lore on him, and how Varka, I love hearing about their friendship. I think D-Luke was probably 11 or 10 when Crepus sends him to help Varka out. Maybe it was before Kaeya. Maybe he was 6 or 4 or 5. I think Kaeya would have been adopted roughly 7-ish. I think he was a good age to put him at, since I don't feel like he's a new Ragdiver. He lived there for a while. I did read somewhere, I don't remember where, that Kaeya never went by Ragdiver, because he was only kind of not adopted by Crepus, but pseudo-adopted by Crepus. So he just lives with him and is his ward, whilst becoming part of the family but never adopted, so Kaeya always went by Kaeya Albirch. So seems like a lot of Mondstadt didn't realize they were brothers, and I do imagine Kaeya was really quiet in their youth, he was shy and quiet because of all the trauma. When he first got there, he's really, really quiet because first he doesn't completely understand Common, and probably doesn't know any Mondstadtian, so he's just really quiet and listening and trying to learn the language and not make Crepus angry at him or D-Luke or anyone so that he doesn't get kicked out, because he would probably be scared of that since he's over here being a little liar, and it feels so guilty about that, and he's so adorable. But and then he'd be that quiet, and then D-Luke would just drag him around and talk all the time. Sometimes Kaeya get lost. D-Luke would never notice that Kaeya didn't fully understand Common and didn't know any Mondstadtian back then. I do think maybe the adults might have noticed some, like Crepus. And I want to say Adeline. I don't think she'd be an adult when they were children. Maybe a teenager. And Elzer being a little bit older than her, upper teenager, 18-ish. Since Elzer, the head butler of the Dawn Winery, you can go talk to him. He actually uses them more on Crepus too. Tells you that he grew up in the winery and was kind of taken in by Crepus as well. That and the idea, I feel a lot of, not a lot, but Adeline and Elzer seem to have been taken in as, they're probably children to some of the maids and butlers that worked for Crepus, and they were taken in and raised in the household as servants. It's a generational thing. You do what your parent did. And so they would be Adeline's mid-teenager, 14, 15 maybe, when the Ragdivers are 7, so she's double their age. She's 7 years older than them. With Elzer being more 18, because he seems to be older than Adeline. So I don't even know if that's true or if Adeline being a girl, she's given a younger looking model because they only have 3 models: old lady model, young lady model, baby girl model. Which it feels like if you look at characters and their ages and like stuff they've done, like could be medieval and they could be teenagers, or they could just be young adults. Which would be like their early 20s. That'd be like Bennett official. Being like their early 20s since they've done a lot. Like Bennett was taken in by the adventurers when he was a baby, and the adventurers are in like their prime, and I think your prime most likely be in like your 20s, 30s, your 20s and 30s, and like you're falling off in your 40s and stuff, which makes me think Varka is probably 40s, 50s, 60s, one of those ages, since he's like old. So Ragnar's feel like they would be in their later 20s, early 30s. And if we say Krupus had them when he was like 20-ish, 25. I want to say like 25. I feel like Krupus had Diluc when he was a little older. So Diluc's like 25 plus, I'm just going with 30, 55. So Varka would be like in his 50s, going on to 60s, because he feels old, like he should be old. So you know, Varka's old. Varka's an old man. I do like drawing him with like somewhat of a beard, so I don't draw beards much, so I'm not very good at it. But I do think he should have at least a form of stubble, because he's old. So I drew Kaeya. It was just sketching, but I drew Kaeya with his hair braided. I like to think, which is not true, but I like to pretend his hair falls to like his ankles, or maybe even slightly on the ground, and like he's grown it out, and it's that long. He likes to keep it in a braid, since that would get his hair better. It'd be out of the way. That's what I'm trying to say. For his night work, that would make his hair out of the way. And I didn't draw him with a tape because I didn't want to figure out how that would look. So just like sketching him out, and then I adore Kaeya. He's like my favorite. It's like him, Venti, Diluc, Fermine. They're all there. I love them a lot. And I like Kazuha a lot. I have random merch and stuff with him lying around, even though I don't think about him as much as I used to. But I adore Kazuha. Kaeya's backstory. Kaeya. I feel like he was really, really quiet in his teenhood. Like still menace, mostly just like Diluc and June. Well, I also feel like they could have been dating. Yeah, that preteen dating. Maybe they just had crushes because they weren't, I don't know, confident enough. I feel like Diluc might be, but no, he might not be. Because I do feel like he had a lot of stress over being the youngest captain. He wanted to be the best and perfect and good enough for his dad and all that. I didn't think heavily on how the armor works. I just threw random bits of armor on him. I do think the chest plate would be like 2 pieces that are latched together on the side, whilst later you can see that his shoulders, shoulder guard and arm guards will have like latches, and I think the ones on his lower arms near to the hand would be like clipped together. They're 2 pieces, and like the hand guard just rests. It's like on top. It's like a glove, piece of metal on a glove that you would wear. You feel like they would have armor over their stomachs, but I didn't draw it because I don't know how that looks. One day I'll look it up, but I didn't care to right now. The horse's head ends up way too small for the horse's body, and I forgot its ears. I have the ears right now, but I will forget them later, and there will be no ears for poor Midnight. I think would be Kaeya's personal horse, who he left at the winery after the fight. After Diluc leaves, I think he would get Midnight and use her again. While Daybreak just kind of chills at the winery, with Adeline taking care of her. While Diluc's gone, Shaznia doing atrocities. I do wonder if he like full on killed a lot of people, or they were more targeted at between bases and he just took down the bases and wrecked them. I do think he killed, but I wonder how exactly he killed. Like, did you just kill indiscriminately? I feel like he just do those Fatui uniforms and outfits in like at the Fatui bases, whilst he goes and hunts down information and things, instead of like just killing absent-mindedly. Like, I don't think he hates Shizunai. Sometimes I see like he hates everyone from Shizunai. I'm like, pretty sure he has the cognitive function, especially after he's not full of rage, to not go after a nation. But I feel like this is very specifically he's angry at the Fatui for what happened and what he perceives them as having done, rather than what truly happened. Which I do wonder if the delusion is actually from the Fatui, or if Crevice had like, so I've seen a theory where it could be the delusion is from the Red Knight back when the Nameless Bard was around, which I don't know how it had been made back then, but I'm sure they probably could have made them. I know they're made from Ottermane, so my thought is, what if like the Red Knight took Decabarum's remains or something and fashioned them into that when he turned his back on the Animal Archon as like a safety measure, because he didn't trust him, because Venti did just take the face and voice, I presume, the face, the voice, some of the mannerisms, I would guess, of the Nameless Bard, which I would assume would have made Ragdver, probably Red Knight, really angry. So I can see that being why. I have no idea why the Red Knight turned his back on the Animal Archon back in the day, but I find that beat so amusing, because the Ragdivers don't seem to have like a vendetta against the Animal Archon. They seem to worship him as well, so it does seem like that went away over time, potentially when the Ragdiver name gets recorded during Vanessa's time, which I like to think Vanessa married a Ragdiver and is either I don't think Diluc's bird is canonically Vanessa. I think it's just a bird he raised to care of, and like, I think the bird in his idol, which looks like an eagle, I call it a falcon a lot, but I think it looks more like a bald eagle, I want to say, but definitely not a bald eagle. I don't know what bird it is. Tell me in the comments if you know. But do you think that's just like a bird he raised from like his dad's birds, like he took a chick and was left in charge to be responsible for it, and he raised and trained? I like to call it a she. But it's a really funny headcanon if you make it be like the Falcon of the East, Vanessa in her bird form, which is terribly funny. I do feel like Vanessa should be around in some capacity in her Falcon form, but I don't think Genshin would ever address that. But if I like remade Genshin, which I kind of want to do, I'm definitely going to redesign all the characters, starting with probably my favorite. I've tried before and I've been off and on a lot. I have a lot of ideas for Venti and what I want to do with him. For Kaeya, I've always just kind of dumped his outfit kind of down, but I don't want to exactly do that, because I never draw him with his cape, but I do think he should keep his cape, because I feel like it should be more reminiscent of a peacock, to tie back into that peacock theme. And I might give the more flower symbolism, because it's one of my favorite things, flowerography, but, well, I don't think that's something Genshin's going to tap into, but I like it, and I feel like Mondstadt would do a lot with flowers and how they work, and like flowers and flower language. Now we get to coloring him in. Ooh, I love him. Yeah, I take my markers and I'm thinking to color his skin in first. Then I decide I should probably do like his hair first. So I do the skin and I draw over where his hair is supposed to be. It wouldn't look nice. So I go and I find a blue for his hair. I like drawing Kaeya with like really light blue hair, even though his hair is really dark blue. But it's just fun to draw him with light blue hair. Like, this dress has got to my man's. He's got white streaks in his hand. Like, I do think that's like somewhat from stress, but I have seen that like apparently Ajax has like a lighter streak in his hair and like Skirk might, so it could be some remnants from the Abyss. And I like to think that for Kaeya and Mondstadt, he was in the Abyss for a portion of time, and like this did leave an effect on him. Like I feel like if he's a pure Conrian, she could be, he could not be. I don't know. I don't think it's been confirmed either way. But if he's like a full Conrian and him being like immortal, stuck in the abyss for a long time with his dad until his dad cures him and then leaves him in Mondstadt, where Kaeya now ages and grows up. I do feel like though for Kaeya, like he remembers being in the abyss, but it all like mends together and blurs, because that would be like 500 years or 500 years plus, since the abyss is slower in time than Teyvat. But I wonder if like parts of the abyss could run faster, or if it's just time travel. Like Issaroth came and helped them, because notably during Kaeya's like first appearance, he says like thank the thousand winds, and I find that so interesting. Like I wonder if it's not an Archon, so he's willing to do it because he lives in Mondstadt, or if like Khaenri'ah did something with time, or maybe just his parent, whomst I feel like I used to think he could be like the Prince of Khaenri'ah, or like a Prince of Khaenri'ah, or he's the illegitimate son, so he's like there. But now I wonder if he like instead is. I think his dad now is more like a knight of the royal guard. So Kaeya was always trained, because Kaeya's sword work is called ceremonial blade work. That's what his base attack is called. Which Bennett has the same moves of, but it's called Fortuna's Strike or something like that. Lucky Strike. But Kaeya's being not a Favonius blade work, like every other knight has Favonius blade work, like some different type of Favonius blade work, including Albedo. So it seems like Kaeya was training the blade back in Khaenri'ah rather than in Mondstadt. So he has Khaenri'an sword work, which is really interesting. But I do wonder how old he was when he moved to Mondstadt. I feel like he was fairly young. I feel like getting to teenagers is like too old. Like oldest he be is like 10, maybe 11. I think he's like more 7 or something. Old enough to like know what happened to Khaenri'ah and have a lot of information from being taught, but still young enough that it's like he struggles with all of his things. So he might be pure blood Khaenri'ah or might not be. It's hard to say. He has the diamond eyes, which means he's from the Eclipse dynasty, which makes sense. It also means he can't be super far out on the bloodline, because the farther you out, the less diamonds or X's your eyes have. I'd have to compare and contrast all the Khaenri'ans' different eyes. But, they're what they are. Because all the Eclipse Khaenri'ans have diamond pupils, whilst the Blood Moon has the X's that they seem to be only black eyes with red X's, like no variation, while the Eclipse have more variation. I wonder if that's because there's less of them. I'm not sure. I do feel like Kaeya is like half Sumerian, if he's a half Khaenri'an, because of the darker skin and the ties to like the peacock, and one of the Darshans I think has a peacock. I want to say Sogma, but I don't think that's right. I don't know which Darshan has a peacock. I don't even know if that's a real fact, but it might be. So that's interesting, and I really like that idea. I think Kaeya should interact with some of the other Khaenri'ans. He didn't seem to know Nameslip personally when they met, but I do wonder if Dane doesn't remember and Kaeya was going along with it because he just doesn't want to do anything. But it did seem like in that quest, Kaeya learns of how the Abyss Order was founded by an Albirch. Even though Kaeya seems to already know that, well, I guess he could know there are ties between the Abyss and Khaenri'ah without knowing an Albirch specifically founded the Abyss Order. I do wonder how Coulter is related to Kaeya. Like, is that like his uncle? What's his name, Coulter? I don't remember. Kari Bear's dad. Which I know there's a theory that Kari bears Kaeya, which is an interesting theory. I just feel like it's not right, since Kari Bear, like, he's completed his arc and his story already. Like, maybe if we go off on a limb on the new Abyss lore, the Abyss's untreaded paths, like, Kaeya's more of a manifestation of the Abyss, of the path that Kari Bear didn't get to live, which is living in general, which would be kind of interesting, actually. But I do feel like Kaeya is like his own guy, which I think that works for them, especially in like a modern AU. I would make them like cousins. I'm working on a modern AU. I want to make it similar but different. I feel like in a modern AU, Kratos might not be dead. Now he could still be dead, but I like my modern AU making people live. You have the happy AU, and then you have the sad AU. And plus, like, in modern AU, you say they don't have magic. So, like, Kratos doesn't have the delusion to backfire on him. You could make it a gun or something. Or you could just make the man not die. And sometimes I wonder, like, in modern AU, you should put them in high school and stuff. And I'm like, I don't know. I feel like we could shift the ages around, make them younger. Like, I say they're probably like 25, 6, or 7 in that general range when we meet them. They're probably in their 30s now, because it's been about 5, 6, 7 years since Traveler Kids forgot, I think. How many I do not know. Because we time skip some, even when we don't show that we're time skipping, so it's hard to say. Make the rings blue. Kaeya's rings, he can do what he wants then. I don't think I finished those because I never do the part that should be on the horse's muzzle. I think that's what you call it for a horse. Well, on like right about his nose, or her nose, because this is Midnight. This is when I forgot to line the ears, so Midnight has no ears anymore. Right, but yeah, I've never drawn a horse before. I just went with the vibes, drew her, and she's like, I think her head is way too small, but you know, not gonna worry about it. I'm just gonna leave it be as it is. And I have like one gray marker, so I'm trying to use that to differentiate like Midnight stuff from Kaeya's stuff. And then I had some shading, trying to make it look nicer. I don't know if it worked, but I had a lot of fun drawing him on a horse. I have so many pictures of Kaeya. So I do want to draw more other people and characters that I haven't drawn. Like, if we go into ZZZ, I want to draw like Seth and Jane. They're some of my favorites, those two. As well as Ambi. Ambi, Seth, and Jane are my favorites. And HSR, it's like Misha, Ratio, Addy. Some of my top characters. And Danny. I love Don. Love his 3 different ones. I have all of them. Which 2 of them are free, so. But regardless, I have all of them, and I think I have both 5 stars weapons. I'm positive I have Paraterminus' weapon. And I think I should have Diberdune's weapon. Diberdune? I don't know if I say them correctly, but that's how they are. And I do have them. I have both of them. I think I'm gonna get cons for them eventually. Not right now. Eventually. I hope they get to run again. So I'm gonna be pulling for the new guy. I forget his name. Ashive. Ashive? I don't know how to say his name, but I want to get him. And then I might get Hyacinth, her weapon. Right now, I have her at C0, no weapon. And I might get Boot Hill Collins, but I'm not sure. Because right now, I have his weapon. I actually have 2 Boot Hill's weapons because I pulled a double. Boot Hill has his weapon, and Maltza has Boot Hill's weapon too. But I haven't built Maltza yet. Do you want to see me do building videos? I could show you me building characters. I would not mind that at all. So I might skip the farming parts. It's HSR, and we're just autoing them. Maybe a couple rounds, but I wouldn't think much. Mostly just talking over probably some footage. This is not live or color at this point. Which I took a pencil because like I said, I only have 1 gray marker. And I feel like Midnight would be like a gray or white. And I might draw her again with some actual horse references to make her better, more learn the anatomy of a horse. Because I know there's like 2, I want to say vocal points, but I don't know. The chest, right where the neck and legs would be, and then the hind where her tail would be. And those are 2 big circles, and then they connect in the middle, and then the legs coming out of those. Those would be like the 2 big. Drawing Midnight, a whole lot of fun. And then outlining Kaeya's hair to shade it. One of these days I need to write down his palette because I have multiple pictures in my sketchbook of him, but I don't think his skin tone stays consistent because I just use different markers between them, which is fine. It doesn't have to stay consistent. This is physical media. I have only so many markers, though it could stay consistent if I actually remember what I use. But yeah, I generally draw braids. Not in this manner actually. I decided to outline the whole braid before I added the inside connecting bars, but then I gave up on that and stopped. You can always wait through. One is making you do anything in any specific way when drawing. Only your own head makes the rules, and those rules should be broken, so you can do whatever you want to do with him instead of not. I do think I originally had his lighter streak, but I keep forgetting to draw it in when I draw him. So Kaeya keeps losing his lighter streak rather than having it. Which is my bad, but yeah, what can you do? And just kind of like shading the bottom and the top with darker color. So it's like darker on the top and bottom, and it gets lighter on the inside or wherever you want the highlights to be. That's how I like for his hair, or hair in general. That'll be all for the video. I'll see you in the next one.